All right, how can you write each product in the form A plus BI? This is getting what I was talking about in a previous example, where the inner form of a complex number has up to two parts, the real number and then the imaginary number. The real number comes first. What you'll notice when you multiply here, you're just going to distribute like normal. So negative 2.5i will get distributed to the 8 and the negative 9i. The negative 2.5i times 8 makes it negative 20i. All right, you're just multiplying the constant and the coefficient together. The negative 2.5i times negative 9i, well, I times I is I squared. Just like x times x is x squared. That's no different. And then the coefficient gets multiplied together, and you get 22.5. The part that you're going to take out, so you're never going to leave I squared in an expression. Because I squared, well, I is defined as the square root of negative 1, right? So the square root of negative 1 times the square root of negative 1 is negative 1. So by definition, I squared equals negative 1. So we're gonna utilize that. So 22.5 I squared is really just like saying 22.5 times negative 1, which is the same thing as saying negative 22.5. So that's the real number. That goes in front. The negative 20i stays second. If you were to FOIL two complex numbers together, you would FOIL it just like you would any algebraic expression. So you FOIL these together like you normally would. They actually are describing it as distributive property, where you're like taking the 3 and the negative 2, all the things. What you're going to end up with is the same four terms here. The 6i and the negative 6i will add to 0, so that's gone. The negative 4i squared, remember I squared, we're going to switch out for negative 1, so you get negative 4 times negative 1, which is positive 4. And then 9 plus 4 is 13. Again, there is no imaginary number anymore because that added to 0. All right, so the answer to this was 13. All right. Same deal, pause here and give it a try and then come back. So with the first one, distribute in, I got 20/5 I minus 10/10 I squared. 20/5 reduces to 4. 10/10 is 1. Remember, I squared becomes negative 1. So it'd be like negative 1 times negative 1, which is positive 1. Now I just need to flip the order around so the real number comes first. 1 plus 4i. When I FOIL, I got 1 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/4, minus I, plus I, and then minus 4i squared. The negative I and positive I will add together to get 0. And then the negative 4i squared ends up being plus 4. So it ends up being 4 1/4, or if you left it as in your regular fraction, improper fraction, you'd have 17/4. Now, let me also point out, every time you FOIL, you're not going to get those middle terms to cancel out. That is just a unique case that happened with this example and the previous example that we looked at. The reason why those middle terms cancel out is because if you notice, they're the exact same terms. The only difference is one's plus, one's minus. If those terms were different in any way, you would have middle terms that would not cancel out. Just putting it out there. Let's take a look at example 4.